Hello, Zelda here. Thank you so much for being here for this installment of the Dragon Channel. I'm Zelda, and I am coming to you. The Dragon Channel is a place where I am coming to speak about dragons, to show up in my dragon power, and encourage you to show up in yours. I am taking time and space to talk about different dragons from my dragon team. Today I am coming to you with a slightly variant, but totally potential that some of the episodes could look like this, almost like a story time with one of my guides. This, as many of you may know, I work with a lot of carvings as kind of anchors and supports for my guides to communicate with me through. And this is Erasmus. Erasmus was carved by Leandro de Souza, is a Sirius quartz carving. And it's interesting because Erasmus has really been here to teach me and show me the connection between dragons and angels. And Erasmus is not a being who initially presented to me as a dragon. As I started to work with him, it was kind of a slow acquaintance process. He presented as a very large humanoid being with wings and like curly hair, and sometimes would look kind of translucent. And I initially working with him was very connected to him as being similar to Eros in terms of like a love being that could be connected to Aphrodite. And I just was really curious. And it starts this way. Like, one of the reasons I share all of this is because I encourage you to think and be fluid with your own process with guides and let it unfold in a really organic way where it doesn't have to be something that you understand all at once. Because so often our methods of connecting to spirit and to guides are not linear or cognitive, and they don't reveal themselves in a way that is neat or satisfying to kind of our product-oriented culture and mind, this kind of immediate gratification desire. So this is how my relationship with Erasmus began. And as I have really deeply connected to him in past days and in this past week, and he made it very clear that he would like this Dragon Channel to be for him and for me to support and channel some communication. What he revealed is that he is an angel, more specifically is somewhere between an angel and a seraphim. He has two sets of wings, and they operate in a way that is supportive and helpful for hovering and being present in a dimension. Kind of like if you think of what different wings would do to hold someone kind of in a place, that the wings can also do this with being in the liminal dimension or in between dimensions or staying in a dimension, even if your energy and vibration is higher than that dimension. And one of the things that I have been feeling into, a friend of mine who is a dragon and who we sit together a lot and spend time with dragon energy, has, named many times for me and for others, this connection between angels and dragons. And I do have dragons that have worked with angelic energy and who enjoy that. And I never had been shown or revealed what, in my experience would be the connection between these two beings. And one of the things that was revealed is that dragons chose to incarnate in ways where they could connect more deeply and more easily to humans. And that one of the ways that they did this was by starting to gradually take on humanoid forms in creating new races, essentially, and new species in their incarnation efforts. And the first one was, at least the first one revealed to me, was the seraphim. And there were variants of these dimensional beings as they kind of experimented with incarnation and moving towards a human form. And they were much more easily able to communicate with humans as seraphim. They had multiple sets of wings and spent time more in other dimensions. And then there also was the angelic energy, like the archangelic and angelic energy, where they would experience and incarnate in forms that felt almost fully human with wings. And these wings were not always like fluffy feather wings, but there is an association with being a winged being that can kind of change in shape and form, and that this allowed them to communicate more effectively with humans. And golden dragons were a big part of this connection. And then, of course, there's the human interpretation of angels. And so there's more layers on top of that. But many people who are not open to interdimensional beings are open to angelic communications. And so this is something that is very fascinating, their connection to me with dragons. And so far, that is what has been revealed to me. And so I wanted to come and share with you and see what your thoughts were. I know that Erasmus in particular has this speaking truth and supporting others in raising their vibration out of fear and hate and like the anxiety or preoccupation in this dimension, to be able to see and speak more clearly. That feels very important to Erasmus's message. I did ask him to pick a deck, and the one that he chose was this Universal Dragon Oracle deck. And so we're going to pick some cards for Erasmus's message for all of us today, just encouraging a little bit more communication. I know that one of the things that he also mentioned is that there are a lot of dragon hybrid beings, and not all of them are for this particular reasoning, but many of them were intentional in some way or the other, because dragons have a lot of capacity in their full dragon form. And so there is some choice to purposefully take a different incarnation form. Just shuffling and laying the cards out. I am going to spritz some of the Platinum Dragon spray that I spray around before the videos. I'm going to do that again. And for you, wherever you're at, just taking a moment to tap into your sacred powers of discernment, to know which messages are meant for you and which ones you can let float by you like a leaf floating down a stream. Maybe calling in your own teams and lineages, ancestors, guides, supports, the wisdom of your past, present, and future selves in this and every timeline. Okay. So, just asking Erasmus what he wanted to share, I'm guided to pick 3 cards. The first card that I'm seeing is this card. It says leadership. The second one says creation. And the third says flow. Something that is coming through really strongly is around this being a time where things are moving much more swiftly, like the current or the flow feels like it is moving in a way where it's easy to get caught up in currents that aren't the direction that you want to go. And it is equally easy to move intentionally towards a current that is going to take you. But that takes a level of intentionality, of co-creation, and of energetic leadership. And there seems to be this question around what practices help you to feel aligned and empowered in sharing your truth and your voice, in knowing what connects you to your sense of power. With this, I see almost like a halo over this dragon's head, which I never noticed before, but this feels very similar. This is a little more orangish, but it's actually the one on the back of the deck. This feels like golden dragon lineage energy to me, this kind of beaming out of the heart and the ability to inspire and connect deeply to the uprising of people's truest selves and of people who are stepping into their power. And that feels in many ways what the intention of this of Erasmus's energy is about. Connecting to what is at your core and what wants to radiate outwards as a necessary force of magic and support in the world. Your unique magic doesn't have to look esoteric, even. It doesn't have to look, your creative process doesn't have to look artsy. This is about connecting to your path in the world. And I know that that can feel like an abstract term, but I even encourage you to like almost visualize, like the vision Erasmus is showing me is around like looking forward and seeing actually like a vision of the path itself. Like, is it cobblestones? Is it a labyrinth? Is it paved? Is it grassy? Is it watery? Is it wild flowers springing up from like loamy soil? There are these different qualities. Is it a dirt path? And there are so many ways that we can get caught up in the mind of what our path is. But actually that leadership feels very much like recognizing and acknowledging the path and then being in relationship with returning to it again and again, regardless of if you know where the path is going or if the path is going where you hoped it would be going initially. Erasmus feels like he has shared with me a lot about co-creation and the creation of the universe. And these feel very in this. One of the things that I see is this star in the background radiating, and then this orb that is in the center, right? And how they overlap and how they form this kind of radiating. There's another one down here too. But is this quality of as within, so without, is what the words that come to mind. Is this co-creation with like also acknowledging no matter what you believe spiritually, religiously, who you relate to as a creator, you are a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe, and you're interrelating with the universe is a co-creation process that is magical and important, and that acknowledging that power and that flow of energy, right? This feels a little bit like that, almost like an infinity sign, even though it's not exact, just that there's this like flow and looping of energy, and how there's like a sense of connectedness, of wateriness, of fluidity, not wateriness, I suppose, like fluidity. The message very much feels like to stay connected to your heart space. It doesn't surprise me that Erasmus would bring this message, but that there is this kind of regathering of energy, so to speak, that is supportive for doing the work that you want to do in the world. And so I get curious, right? What does it take to stay connected to your heart? What allows you to feel in a sense of flow? What empowers you to feel like you can lead in your own way, no matter how small you may feel that is? You don't have to be the leader of a huge group of people to be leading in your own way. The way that we live our lives is a form of leadership. We, by taking care of ourselves and radiating that outwards, we are passively raising the energy of people around us by being kind to others. This is something that is not to negate other things that are necessary in our world. This isn't to sidestep issues of accountability and power structures, but this is to acknowledge that in addition to those other things, there are also very fundamental ways that we alter and we engage internally with ourselves, externally with our very intimate relationships, and then on a like macro level, the decisions and the way that we actually affect leadership in our world on a larger scale. I'm going to pull one more card as a parting message from Erasmus. Okay, so this card is fortitude. Fortitude. I really see that, and I know that that's a theme in many of these, like the orb, but this quality of radiating, I see that macro and micro of this kind of sun that is radiating, right? And that this feels like speaking your truth and allowing that to be amplified and radiated outwards. It also feels like a message of encouragement, of maybe affirmation or validation that you are capable of handling the challenges that the world is facing you with, and that you are tasked with finding a sense of I'm having a hard time putting my finger on the kind of way to frame that. It feels like it connects to like, how can you tap into a collective wellspring of resource and allow yourself to be a conductor of that kind of energy for others. So once we tap in, we can also then figure out, kind of like a well, right? The well taps into that groundwater and then allows that to spring forth from that and be nourishing to quench the thirst and to take care of the people around that system. And so how can we also be well springs of that energetic wisdom and of that powerful, like whatever it is that you are doing that feels like that connection to you? How can you allow yourself to invite that forward and to invite that out? And that this feels very encouraging, like you are doing what you need to be doing, and continue and continue. I think that feels like the message from Erasmus. Thank you so much for being here with us today. It was a pleasure. I would love to hear about any connections that you've experienced. If you knew about this, if this matches your experience of the angelic dragon connection of seraphim. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you for the week ahead tarot next week, as well as upcoming episodes of the Dragon Channel. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day.